So I was at the dollar store the other day, the 99-cent only store to be precise, and I found this container thing there, which is in the Halloween section and everything. And I thought this would be really good for a diorama. So I picked one up, and here we are with a voiceover too. So welcome to a not so awesome review. I didn't like any of the audio really from this entire mini little video thing I did. So we're doing the voiceover, and yeah, so this container thing is available at the 99-cent only store for just $2.99, which isn't a bad price. They had a couple of these. Well, actually, yeah, they had one of these in the bigger size and then one for $1 less in the smaller size. Only picked one up. I will say if you are going to pick one up yourself, be careful because there are these little scratches throughout the plastic. It is cheap. It isn't the greatest material. It's very staticky, but I think for the price and everything, a really, really good value, especially if you ever want something acrylic like this for a display or whatever. They're gonna run you a lot more money than $3. So definitely gonna need to pick up a few more of these. But yeah, here I am just explaining that there's like glitter on this thing. But anyways, we're gonna cut to the actual diorama making parts, which I did decide to go with a Halo theme. I went back and forth if I wanted to do Star Wars or something else. I'm gonna try and pick up a few more of these and maybe even more than what I'm actually thinking of and just keep some in storage for whenever I get bored and want to do something else. But anyways, let's get on with the video. So here I am going over all my other diorama stuff, which is different like foliage and things you can get at either Hobby Lobby, Michael's, even Walmart sells some of this stuff. So here is the painting phase, which I decided to use a few rocks, a few things of birchwood. Those rocks were from Walmart, I want to say. They're like beach rocks. I've had them for a while and finally decided to use them in this project. For the figures, I went with a World of Halo Elite that comes with the Ghost because I got a few of those, and a Master Chief because I got a few of those. And you can see I have that driftwood from Hobby Lobby and some other different things. I didn't at this point I didn't know what I was gonna do, but now well it's done at this point. So we're gonna see how it looks. We can see I didn't want to do something like that where Chief is kind of flying at the elites. A lot harder than I thought it was gonna be. Just gonna put that out there right now. It was not easy getting him up, but we're gonna get to that in a second. First thing I decided to do was to make my own base, which let's see right here. Yeah, here we have a foam base, which I did cut around to make the same size. So I had something separate to do everything on. I painted it brown. I had to wait for that to dry. Then went back over it with some fake sand, which I did end up using a layer of Elmer's glue, which I showed right here. And I kind of spread that out with my hand and then poured the fake sand on top of it. Then after that, I poured even more fake sand on top of it to kind of make it a little bit asymmetrical. I didn't want it to be completely flat, so I had like a little bit of a thing there. You can't really see it here because of the angle, but there is a little bit of a bump on one side. And then I went over it with some watered down glue because it just made it easier to get everything to stick together. Now, the problem with that is it did take a long time to dry and it didn't end up draining, so I wanted to mention that right there. Here I am going again with what I want to do with the Elite going up and then Chief kind of pointing down. You can see I have some more of the things I'm going to be using. I did decide on a couple of rocks that I really liked. The birchwood, which I honestly do like the birchwood. I wish it was bigger for this project. I think one long log piece would have been better. One thing I did realize while making this, and you can see right here, is that the Elite does take up a very big part of the stand. Chief by himself, not so much. And if I do a Star Wars one, they take up even less space because they are smaller. They're the same scale, but obviously since they're smaller people, Chief is a lot bigger of a human. Elites are a lot bigger. The will fit a lot better. You can see the driftwood is stuff that I want to put out and everything. So this is basically the planning phase. If you guys are going to be making one yourself, this is essentially what you're probably going to be doing after you make your own base or anything. Next one will probably be dirt or something like that, so it won't always be the same, but then you'll be going around with whatever you have as spare parts and kind of just exploring what you're going to do here, putting things down. I did end up hot gluing down basically everything. I did, yeah, I was gonna super glue some stuff together with the driftwood, but it didn't want to stick, so more or less everything's hot glued, which on that note, if you have a very hot location, be careful where you put it. You don't want to put it in an attic because it will melt hot glue, and same thing with like a garage if you live in a very hot place. You can see here I was going over a few different things. That plant I really did like. One, it's too tall. Two, it takes up too much space. Three, I feel like that would work better for a Star Wars diorama. But anyways, we're going to skip forward here in time a little bit just to see what else goes on in this video. So this is essentially mostly done here. At this point, I want to say stuff has been glued down. You can see the different foliage I used on this diorama. The rocks are glued in place. The driftwood is glued in place. I did end up having some other wood that came with some of that foliage that I put down, which I think looked really good. And yeah, this is almost complete. I do end up adding a few more things. The main thing I was doing here, which kind of made this a challenge, was getting Chief to be floating there in the sky. So I don't think I show it in this clip, and I don't even know if I actually recorded a clip where I actually did it. So I hope I did. But essentially, instead of using that skinny stick, which straight up I didn't like it, I would have wanted to curve it, and curving a skinny stick is not easy. You would have to get it wet. It's just a lot of work. So what I ended up doing was using, if you saw that plastic piece on top, I squished it so it could fit between the Chief's armor, so it would hold him up from there. And then I got one of these not birchwood, I got one of these driftwood pieces, stuck it through it, and then ended up gluing it to that one I was just touching, and ended up having to kind of support Chief in a few different ways. I believe I get another piece of birchwood to glue that piece on, so that it doesn't fall back all the way, because the base isn't strong. The base is a lot skinnier, a lot weaker of a foam. It's not sturdy, I should say. So it made it a little bit more difficult to do it the way I was kind of envisioning it. But it did work out in the end, which we'll be seeing here in a moment. But yeah, I ended up doing that to kind of get him up there. Had to balance his foot on the rock. And you know what? Let's just skip forward so you guys can see the final product here. But yeah, right here, I will say it does look like a mess, especially on camera. But trust me, in person, a lot better. I did mention it would have been cool to add that little light there, but I didn't because it would have required some wiring and stuff. But it is something you can do because the bottom of the base is actually lifted up and has room for a battery pack if you want to do something like that. But anyways, here we have the final product all put together. You can see there is some hot glue strings going on there. I did actually open it up and take everything like that out after going through it a few times. I actually had to open it up multiple times, open it up one more time to kind of get Chief more balanced, because I wasn't happy with how forward he was. I wanted him standing up a little bit more straight. I don't know if this is before or after I did it. I think this is after I already did it. You can see back there I did put a piece of that driftwood onto the Elite and glued it onto him to kind of balance him, because I didn't want him leaning up against the plastic, because I feel like that would kind of ruin the illusion of the diorama itself. But overall, I really like it, and I wish you guys could see this in person instead, because in person it looks so much better, so much clearer. Here we have the glare from the light and everything, but if I turn that light off, you're not going to see anything, unfortunately. But you can see it is very sturdy. Chief is hanging on there. He hasn't fallen over yet, you know, crossing fingers, he doesn't at all. But I think it came out pretty good. I do wish Chief was a little bit more up, you know, even with him fixing everything. I do wish he was still just a little bit higher. But I think for this like kind of confrontation pose, I think it came out pretty good, honestly. All things considered, the constraints of having to do this in such a small space made me have to do things a little bit more creatively than I guess I would normally do them. Usually I try to make a diorama and end up making something too big that I end up either not liking, or it's just kind of, I don't know, just not what I envisioned. This one, although in the store I envisioned something more of a forest, I think this is better because we don't have trees going up. I would have ended up having to cut some birch wood because I do have longer pieces, but cutting them takes a while. I don't have an electric saw, but the way this one came out with the smaller pieces, me remembering I had those smaller pieces actually helped, because that would have sucked if I forgot about it. But yeah, it's just a good creative way to limit yourself into space and making a diorama that doesn't take up too much room. And it's a very nice way to have it displayed, especially so there's no dust or anything coming in. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry for the b-roll not being that great, but it is what it is. More reviews coming soon. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all later. Goodbye. Really quick, one more thing I wanted to add here. It's deadwood, not driftwood. Yeah, just forget the fact that I said that the whole video. It's deadwood. Okay. Anyways, thank you for watching.